All right, today I've got for you the 10 P's of sustainable weight loss. Yes, 10. There are 10 P's in this talk. 6 things you need and 4 you don't for permanent sustainable weight loss. Practice. This is in the spirit of skill development. I really strenuously believe that one of the biggest undertakings we must do if we want to achieve any kind of permanent outcome in anything in our lives is the practice of skill development. You're developing the skills, becoming the kind of person who succeeds at a thing through the development of the skills necessary to achieve and sustain it. So that could be anything at all: relationships, finances, career, parenting. It's all skill development. You didn't know how to raise a kid until you had one. You didn't know how to be a spouse until you were one. You didn't know how to be the director of operations until you became one. You didn't know if the stock market was going to pay you back, and you just invested anyway and developed the skill of paying attention. It's all in that same realm. And taking control of your health and losing weight, as far as I'm concerned, is skill development more than anything. You don't need more information. You need to develop the skills to implement with a relative amount of consistency that you actually achieve the outcome you want and stick with it. I want you to think about weight loss as a practice. You don't need perfection, you just need reps. Weight loss that sticks is a practice. You need to develop the skills and embody the skills that you've learned day to day, more often than not, to achieve the outcome you want. And this is really important because I think for some reason we've put weight loss and health improvement into this whole other category. Like there should just be some tactic, some tool that I can use, some easy button I can press to get this going. Or maybe if I knuckle down and discipline myself enough, that'll be the thing. It's just like everything else in your life. You have to practice it. You have to develop the skills. So one of the 6 things you need for permanent weight loss, one of the 6 P's, is practice. And this I want to frame as skill development. If you were going to learn any new skill, you wouldn't just give up the moment it sucked, because then you'd never learn anything. You would persist. There's another P for you: persistence. We'll get to that in a second. But you would persist in developing the skills. You would give yourself some grace, permission. There's another P word I'm going to talk about in a second. It all comes down to, are you developing the skills necessary to achieve and maintain weight loss? And those skills are, does this fit into my life? Do I know what I'm doing? Do I know how to troubleshoot? It's a really, really powerful foundational concept, the concept of skill development. I want you to reframe weight loss as skill development and not as just something I'm transiently doing right now. It's not that. You do have to have a bit of an identity shift if you want to achieve health, lose weight, keep it off forever. I need you to think a little more deeply about this stuff. We can't just put it in the trash heap with all the other kind of impulsive things we tried. Take it seriously and try to develop some mastery of the skills needed to do it. Permission. I want you to think about this in the terms of running experiments on yourself and allowing them to succeed or fail with non-judgment. If you work with a coach, for example, like myself, we're going to run an experiment. We're going to say, hey, let's see how this road trip goes. Let's see how this work trip goes. Let's see how dinner with the in-laws go. Let's put some parameters in place as to how maybe you'll navigate this life situation. Then go out and do the thing. Go out and do the thing, have the lived experience, and then report back. How did it go? Where were there rooms to improve? Give yourself permission to screw up as well. Give yourself permission to say, wow, I way overdid it this weekend on whatever the thing it was that I overdid it on, and saying, what can I learn from this? How do I feel? And the feeling you might have might be, I have a stomach ache, or I have a headache, or I feel brain foggy, or I feel sluggish, or it could be an emotion. I feel discouraged. I feel disappointed. I feel bummed out. I'm mad at myself. Any of these feelings, they're not positive, happy-go-lucky feelings. They're difficult feelings to sit with. But I want you to give yourself permission to feel those feelings, and then sort of this idea of failing forward. We really do have to kind of screw up on the path to success. Otherwise, we won't learn. We won't develop the skill to sort of reorient ourselves when we get a little knocked down, which will happen. And we're talking about permanent fat loss here. We're not talking about some quick fix 6-week challenge to shred for the summer. We're not doing that. I'm not doing that. Please, are you kidding me? How stupid is that? It's pointless. We're trying to get permanent weight loss here. We are not going to be perfect for the rest of our lives. So we have to allow ourselves the permission to flounder a little bit. And the idea about permission, it's actually a word that I have a push-pull relationship with, because it can be a slippery slope. We can give ourselves enough grace, but also that can go a little too far sometimes. So it's about finding a really nice balance of permission while also progressing. Permission with progress, not impeding progress, is a phrase that my clients like to use. Like, maybe I'm not progressing in an obvious fashion, but am I getting in the way of my own progress? So we have to kind of temper our permission granting to make sure we're not just like letting it all go out the window. That to me is just grown-ass adult type behavior, right? A grown-ass adult is not like an unsupervised 8-year-old in a candy store, just like doing whatever they want, throwing caution to the wind. A grown-ass adult is a responsible human being. We have responsibilities. We are responsible. We get shit done. So apply a little responsibility to your permission granting. You have to have the softness of permission, but it can't get too far. Otherwise, you're not going to get any progress at all. So balancing permission to get out of the way of your own progress would be great. Placebo. In clinical terms, a placebo is something that works, not because of its chemical properties, but because the executor, the patient, the subject believes it will work. The belief alone creates a measurable, often powerful physiological response. The mind goes, I trust this, and the body follows. Now, we are dancing around the edges of like manifestation language, which I'm not super into. It's not my thing. I don't really jibe with that language. But placebo, now we're talking. This is interesting to me. The sugar pill that the controlled group took, where it miraculously gives them the outcomes because they believed they were taking the medicine. Placebo is real. And placebo effects, I love them. Cool. Placebo. Was that just a placebo effect? Amazing. Who cares? I got the outcome I wanted. Who cares how I got there? Did I believe myself into better health? Did I believe myself into weight loss? Cool. However I got there, I got there. Get there when you get there, however you get there. The placebo piece to this is more in the realm of like, call it blind faith, that things will work for you. I want to be really careful to make sure that I'm not making it sound like weight loss is some kind of woo manifestation thing. But I am saying you need the kind of belief that usually comes from taking the metaphorical sugar pill. You need to believe that what you're doing is working, even if it doesn't seem like it is. Because if you constantly believe it's not working, then you're going to behave like a person for whom it's not working. Well, this isn't working for me, so I'm just going to eat the whole damn birthday cake. Oh, look, see, I didn't lose weight. Look, I gained weight. I told you this wouldn't work for me. We can manifest the bad stuff just as we can manifest the good stuff. And if you believe it's going to work, then you're going to behave like a person who believes it's going to work. And that's the brass tacks of it. That's the unwoo definition of manifestation. I struggle with the woo-ness of manifestation language. But if you say to me, if you believe you're going to get the thing, then you behave like a person who gets the thing and then you get the thing. Here's an example. Really random, weird anecdote. I manifested a moose one time. That's right. So I live in Canada. You know, there's moose up here. And I live in the country. There's moose out here. There's lots of moose, beware of moose signage around. I'm like, I've never seen a moose since I've lived here. I've seen precious few moose since I've been born a Canadian. What's up with that? It was a beautiful winter's day, and I went out for a walk. I was going to go for a little sort of hike in my general area here, in the rural area that I live in. I was going to just go trespassing a little bit into some fields and have a little snowshoe. It was going to be nice. And I said to myself, I'm going to see a moose today. I'm going to see a moose today. So I took myself on a hike to the places where the moose always are. I went to where the moose are. And guess what? I saw a moose. I saw a big bull moose that day. I manifested the moose by declaring I wanted to see a moose, then behaving like somebody who was going to see a moose, and then I saw a moose. If I said, oh, there's no moose out here, I'm just going to get in my car and drive to the gym for my workout today instead of taking a walk. Well, I'm definitely not going to see a moose because I'm operating from a place of not believing that moose exist. Are you with me on the moose metaphor? Placebo is powerful. Is what I'm getting at. And belief before results is what makes results possible. You know, I bring this back to the idea of blind faith. Trust that it will work, because if you operate from the opposite perspective, it's probably guaranteed to fail. Plateaus. And this is a requirement for sustainable fat loss. You will plateau. It is absolutely a biological truth. Fat loss does not progress like a steam engine going down the track. You have to delete that thinking from your mind. It goes and then it stops. And then it goes and then it stops. And it goes and it stops. And the thing is, when the body drops a little bit of fat and then stalls out or plateaus or stops, it's still doing something. It's just working toward its next drop. If you bail because it stopped working, you just missed the next opportunity. The way biologically the body liberates fat from storage is not some perfect linear fast thing. It's slow AF. The body has to recalibrate and re-upregulate itself to your new sort of metabolic reality and has to get used to that. And then it will say, okay, now we're going to go down the next thing. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a true plateau unless it's longer than like 12 weeks. And then it's like, well, then you have to do something different. You're going to have to shake up the inputs. If you've really been stuck for 12 weeks, you need to shake up the inputs a little bit. Maybe pay attention to your compliance, your permission granting, right? Plateaus are not problems. They are part of the process. So you need to learn to ride them out without freaking out or quitting, because you're guaranteed not to succeed if you freak out and quit. Patience, you knew it was coming. Nothing biologically permanent happens quickly. Your body is in a self-preservation mode at all times. When you start to change the inputs, it needs to sort of, again, recalibrate, accept the new inputs, decide if it's safe, decide if it's working. That takes time. That simply takes time. So you need a ton of patience with your body, with your hormones, with your habits, with your behaviors, with your beliefs, with everything you're deprogramming and reprogramming. And I had this conversation with my clients just this morning. When I work with clients for 6 months, it is a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye. 6 months is so short relative to the amount of time they've spent trying to lose weight. You've spent decades trying to lose weight, and we're 6 months in, and that's not fast enough for you? Please do the math on that. Please have some patience. I know it's hard. Oh, this is the hardest part. We have to have patience in the biology. We have to have the patience in the psychology. The patience piece is a thread that's woven through the whole thing, because if you can't hang with patience, then you're going to give up on the belief, the placebo piece, the personal belief. If you can't hang with patience, you're going to maybe get a case of the efforts, which is another way of saying giving yourself too much permission. You're going to start sucking at failing. You're going to say, oh, I'm just not good at this. I give up. I quit. It's quitting. It's not productive failing. It's unproductive failing if we're not patient. I always go back to this anecdote because I've got a lot of anecdotes, my friends. But I had a gal on the phone one time who was applying to work in my 6-month program, did declare that 6 months was too long to start moving the needle on weight loss permanently. And I said, according to my notes, you just told me you've been gaining weight year over year, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 1 pound size, 2 pound size. For the last 20 years, you've been gaining. Tell me why 6 months to lose is so long for you. Why does that feel too long? And she struggled to articulate it. In the end, it was impatience. And quite honestly, I'm happy to not work with somebody who's impatient, because if you're impatient, this isn't going to work. It goes back to the manifestation piece. If you believe it's going too slow, it's just going to go too slow. The 6th P for sustainable permanent fat loss is pants. Hang with me because I'm trying to make these all P words, okay? We all in our closet have a pair of pants, and we like them. We've hung on to them, even though we haven't worn them in a while. Every now and then we try them on. We can get them on. We can do up the button. We get the zipper done up. We can get them on, but we could not wear them. They're just not wearable. They feel too uncomfortable. They're just really tight in some places, like dangerously tight, like, oof, I might rip these if I sit down. Or they're very unflattering because they're digging in and you're having little bits of stuff hanging over. You would never wear them out of the house, but you can get them on. This is the pair of pants I want you to pay attention to. I want you to find this pair of pants and just put it in your closet and hang a little sticky note or something on the hanger and say, try these on again in 6 weeks. And then take 6 weeks to put some behaviors into place to develop the skills, practice the patience, offer the permission, work through the plateaus, all the other P's I've mentioned. Put in 6 weeks of patient, relatively consistent effort, and then try the pants on again. After 6 weeks, are the pants going to slide on and do up and be gorgeous? No, they're not. But maybe you can get them on. Maybe the button does up a little easier. Maybe the zipper gets on and you're like, I still would not wear these out of the house, but at least I didn't have to lie on the bed to button them. So that's something. They're not looking good. Then put them back in the closet and don't look at them again for 6 more weeks. Try them on again in 6 weeks. If these pants are not slightly imperceptibly getting more comfortable, I'd be very surprised. If you put in 6 relatively consistent weeks of effort toward patiently practicing simple, slow weight loss, those pants are going to fit eventually. Now, the reason I mention the pants is because I just don't want you to get on the scale. The bathroom scale is not the tool to measure the thing you want to measure. You want to measure fat loss, not weight loss. The struggle I see a lot of people unnecessarily take on for themselves is, oh, I'm just going to weigh myself just to see how it's going. Well, that number is not going to tell you how it's going. The pair of pants might tell you how it's going better than the scale will. The scale is probably going to ruin your day because there's not a woman on earth who is happy about that number. And then whatever the number is too big. It's too high. Whatever the number is, it's too high. There's some imaginary perfect number that you're not on that scale. Now, you already own this pair of pants. You bought them. They looked good. You paid money for them because when you tried them on in the store, you were like, oh my God, my butt looks so good in these. Oh my gosh, I have 9 blouses that go so well with this. Oh my God, these are great. They're dressy, but they're casual. You loved these pants so much you brought them home. You love them so much that you kept them in your closet, even though you haven't been able to wear them for years. You want to get back into these pants again. And the pants don't lie. The scale can lie. The scale can give you a number that means absolutely nothing. And you'll believe it. You'll believe that lie. And you'll use that lie to either motivate or demotivate you into your next step. The bathroom scale is an absolute damaging tool to have anywhere near you, anywhere in your vicinity if you're trying to permanently lose weight. And I'm going to put that flag in the ground. Get rid of it. It's going to totally trip you up. I have a client right now, shout out to Allison, who put her bathroom scale in the dumpster and took a picture of it and sent it to us all in the group chat. She did it. And she said within days, she felt like she was doing better. She said, I feel like I'm having more success now that I'm not jumping on the scale to check if I'm being successful, because every time I got on the scale, it was giving me this sort of discouraging number. Now that I don't have that number, I actually feel like I'm doing better. I feel like I'm totally putting down successful actions. Isn't that amazing? That's the blind faith. That's the blind trust. That's the placebo, right? So take away that stupid data point. Get a pair of pants, try them on every 6 weeks as you make meaningful steps toward permanent weight loss. And I just want to mention one more thing, because you have to do something, right? So it's not like, oh, Erin says if I try my pants on every 6 weeks, they should be getting looser. Well, no, you have to be making an attempt at fat loss. And that could be, maybe you're going to restrict your calories. Maybe you're going to go low carb. Maybe you're going to do Ozempic. Maybe you're going to do another round of Optavia. Whatever it is, you have to do something. My encouragement to you would be to do something that feels very easy. Because here's the deal. If you do something very hard, like tracking all your food, and you try on the pants and they're just a little bit looser, you're going to feel so freaking discouraged. You're going to say, man, I worked so hard and these pants don't fit me better. I thought they'd be fitting me better for sure. Instead, if you're doing something that feels very easy, then when you try on the pants and they fit better, you'll say, whoa, I can't believe how quickly and effortlessly I fit into these pants. It's going to feel fast. Slow is easy. Easy is fast. Slow, simple fat loss feels very easy. And then when you get an outcome from it, it blows your mind how fast it felt. Wow, it was like I was doing nothing. That's the experience I had when I kept dropping dress sizes every couple years. Like, wow, amazing. All of a sudden, I'm a dress size smaller and 3 years had elapsed, but I wasn't doing anything. I had just metabolically repaired myself and really, reoriented my food behaviors, my food relationship to the point where I was just a person living her life, executing the new skills I'd developed day in and day out with great patience. And I was rewarded with a smaller dress size without really feeling like I was doing anything. And that's fast AF. Listen, I know 3 years doesn't sound fast, but if it was 3 years of like feeling like you were doing nothing and all of a sudden you're a dress size smaller, you were going to scream with delight. Because the unfortunate thing is, if you don't do anything, 3 years from now, you're going to be up a dress size. Look around. That's happening to all the women in midlife. They're just going up a pant size, blaming it on menopause or whatever. If you are moving in the opposite direction, you are such an anomaly. It is incredible. It is incredibly blisteringly fast when you contemplate that you are probably going to keep climbing a dress size every year or every couple of years. The 6 Ps required for sustainable fat loss are practice, permission, placebo, plateaus, patience, and pants. And now just to round the bend, here are 4 Ps you don't need for fat loss. Number 1, pounds. Pounds on the scale says nothing about fat loss or fat gain. Pounds on the scale is measuring fat, muscle, bone, water, organs, the clothes you're wearing, the stuff that's sitting in your intestines, the barometric pressure maybe is affecting. I don't know. There's lots of things that affect the number of pounds that show up on the scale. Wanting to be a certain number of pounds is just, we're beyond this now, gals. Like, we have to stop. And I don't know, I'm not going to put my own personal programming onto you, but maybe this sounds familiar to you. When I was younger, I needed to be the least amount of pounds possible. I was like, I don't know what number I'm reaching for, but it's smaller than this number. This number's not right. I need a smaller one. I need a smaller one. Doing everything, burning the body away. burning and abusing the body just to get that number to be smaller. Thank goodness the human body is such a resilient thing. Like, thank goodness we can't break it. Because now I'm like, holy smokes, that was the wrong play. As I get older, I can't be light. Think about all the light, frail old ladies you see. Do you want to be one of those? No. At some point, aging is going to catch up with you and you'll become lighter and lighter, whether you want to or not. Your bones will become frail. Your muscle will just be gone. You'll be a frail but very light old woman, and that's not okay. I'm sorry if that's not sexy, but chasing pounds on the scale is such a absolutely destructive distraction. Pounds, don't even worry about it. Pants, go back to pants. You don't need to chase a number of pounds. Fat loss that's visible, that you can see in the mirror, see in your pants, and that you can live with. That's what matters to you. Think about what really matters to you. What do you really want? Second P that you can drop for permanent weight loss, fat loss, is precision. You don't need to weigh every bite. You don't need to track every step. You don't need to quantify your sleep score. You don't need to hit 128.7 grams of protein. I need to drink 63 ounces of water according to some water calculation. Online calculators, tracking gadgets, giving you fake math that you're then obeying with abnormal precision that doesn't actually exist in nature. It doesn't really exist in nature. Nature is very dynamic, constantly fluctuating. Your human body is not wired for precision. It's wired for dynamism. It's wired for constant change. So precisely hitting your targets, it's a mismatch, first of all. But secondly, more importantly, you're not good at it. You're not good at being precise for a long period of time. You know who is like bodybuilders. When I think about who's really good at being precise with their nutrition, it's bodybuilders. That's it. The rest of us are kind of flying by the seat of our pants, as one should. We can be precise for a couple days and then we're like, F that. We're not good at it. But you don't even need to do it. You don't need precision in your food. You need flexibility. Flexibility. People who have flexible relationships with food have better outcomes, better long-term outcomes than people who feel like they have to anchor to precision for the rest of their lives until they die. Because if you feel like you're going to be this precise, disciplined machine, you're not. You're not. You're going to quit on that. And then it's like, I'm out. I got nothing. So don't reach for precision. Reach for flexibility. Reach for the dynamic reality of a complex biological system, which is your body. The third P that you don't need for permanent weight loss is a plan. Hey, hear me out. You need some kind of parameters. I think you need guardrails. I think you need concepts. I think you need anchor actions. But meal plans, no. Macro plans, no. Calorie plans, no. You don't need that. You don't need a rigid plan. You need more of a rhythm. You need to roll with rhythm, the rhythm of life, the rhythm of the human body. You need an element of food confidence. Like, I know how much of what to eat because I can listen and trust and respond appropriately to my hunger and appetite cues. I know what foods support me and which ones don't. I have this mental list of foods that make me feel good, foods that make me feel bad, and I generally opt toward the good ones more than the bad ones. You know, if you think about the plan, the strict, rigid plan is kind of the antithesis of one of the first P's I mentioned, which was permission, right? So the plan is like, what do I have to do to get an outcome? And the permission is like, what's the minimum effective dose? What can I get away with doing enough of to get the result I want? Plans are rigid and dumb. Okay, meal plans, macro plans, I've done them all. This is basic nutrition coaching, okay? A basic nutrition coaching protocol is creating a meal plan or creating a macro plan or giving you some number of calories to shoot for. That is basic level stuff. You could do it. You don't need to have any special credentials or qualifications to do that. Actually, parenthetically, technically, only dietitians and certified nutritionists can make meal plans. Did you know that? Yeah, that's actually true. From scope of practice, a personal trainer can't make a meal plan. A nutrition coach can't make a meal plan. You have to be a licensed, registered, or certified nutritionist or dietitian to make meal plans. Did you know that? Yeah. Because that's kind of like in the realm of nutrition therapy. And most nutrition coaches, the people you're following on Instagram, they're not qualified to that level. They're just personal trainers, which is amazing. The world needs personal trainers, but they're not really qualified to give you meal plans. Anywho, I'm qualified to give you meal plans, and I will never do it. I did it to get my credential. And I'll never do it again because it absolutely removes you from the conscious practice, the conscious engagement in the process of understanding your nourishment needs. Like, I'm going to tell you how much of what to eat and when. How do I know? How do I know what you need? And that goes for macros and calories too. How does your macro coach know what you're supposed to be eating? They have no idea. They're giving you invented numbers and then you're just following that, thinking it's going to work. Now, it's interesting because people will put blind faith in that. Well, my macro coach gave me my macros, and so that I've got to reach for those. Why do you believe in that, but you don't believe in yourself? Why do you believe in this invented math, but you don't believe that you can succeed? Why do we outsource the blind faith? There's a placebo for you. If you really believe your macro plan is going to work, it probably will. But why don't you believe in yourself? Food for thought. The fourth P that you do not need for fat loss permanently is pills. Pills, supplements, weight loss medications. I don't think you need that. Maybe you do. Now, I want you to have that conversation with your doctor. We're talking about medications. That's a conversation to have with your doctor. Absolutely. Don't take advice from me or anybody who's an internet talking head, who's not a licensed qualified medical practitioner, who's not your licensed qualified medical practitioner. But my personal belief is women, which is who I work with, sometimes are conditioned to chase the next diagnosis. Oh, this is why. Oh, this one transient marker on a hair trace mineral analysis or on a Dutch test. That's why I haven't been able to lose weight. We found the culprit. And I could take like a flurry of supplements apparently to support this part of my body, and that should do it. And it doesn't. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work. Supplements are a consistently failing paradigm. It's a humongous unregulated industry, and we all have cupboards full of supplements, and look at us. Are we thriving? Are we crushing it? No. We're just spending money on the next miracle supplement for this one little thing. I think we need fewer tests. I think we need fewer random diagnoses of imbalances and little transient mineral analyses that we anchor to these problems. There's another P word. Oh my gosh. Like you're some kind of problematic, broken thing. And you've got some diagnosable insufficiency or some diagnosable imbalance. And the supplement is going to rectify the imbalance and you'll be good to go. I don't know, man. Do you have the basics dialed in? Are you sleeping? Are you moving? Are you eating sufficiently? Are you robustly nourishing yourself? Are you taking care of your nervous system? Are you breathing? Are you connecting with sunlight? Are you doing the basics? Are you actively doing the basics and persisting with them for long enough patience to gain appreciable outcomes? Or are we jumping to the Dutch test and jumping to the supplement and jumping to, according to my Dutch test, I'm estrogen dominant, so that's why my arms are chubby and they always will be. You are actually outsourcing your own personal belief to a multi-trillion-dollar wellness industry. I don't love that for you. I want you to come back home to your body. And that's where the original 6 Ps really came from. If I can just reflect them back to you one more time. Practice, permission, placebo, plateaus, patience, and a pair of pants.